Hey guys, welcome back to season 4 of Culture Talk. This is Kulturedkhun, host, favorite podcast on Anchor, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Radio Public, Breaker, Pocket Cast, so on and so forth, etc. et al. Fortunately, life and living has complicated things for me, so that's why I haven't released an episode of late. I've been living a lot in my head. And today, someone just reminded me that, podcast needs to keep going. Catalogue of conversations needs to keep being published. So this is a try to get back at it, get back into on the horse, whatever it's called. Yeah. And so today I'm here with Tapera, Mbewe. And for those of you that have watched my YouTube, or at least scanned the channel, you've seen she's the first politician that I've interviewed so far. And I'm yet to interview more, but she's rising star in the political scene in Zambia, business scene as well. And today I figured we'd talk about self-respect. Obviously this season is themed around self. So far we've done identity and we've done self-love. And now I think from those umbrella topics we talk self-respect because it's something which I think influences our day-to-day decisions, our movements, and just our participation in certain relationships with different people. So let's say hi to Tapera and then we'll move on to the conversation. Hey T.
Hey Kun, how are you? I'm good, thank you.
Long time no see.
Yeah.
What have you been up to of late?
A lot. Work, school, life.
Fair.
Yeah.
Important life and the living. Serious shit. Oh, sorry. Serious stuff.
Yes, stuff.
And would you say you respect yourself as a person?
Most definitely.
What can we coin self-respect as, I think, before we get deeper into the conversation?
What can we what?
Define self-respect as.
Well, I don't think there's like one specific definition for it, but it goes down to, as an individual, what can I tolerate, what can I not, what can I allow to happen in my life, what can I not. It all comes down to how much you respect yourself, and how others will respect you all comes down to how much you respect yourself. So where do you put yourself at in life?
True.
Yeah.
So I think let's strip the term down a bit. Self. I don't know if you listen to episodes on self, but it doesn't matter. What is your image of yourself? Are you Tapera the politician, Tapera girl, Tapera black African girl? You say like a combination of a lot of things, or do you have your own identity that you go referring to whenever you're in troubled times?
I don't think I can stick to one identity, but there is a lot. I am Tapera the politician, I am Tapera the law student, I'm Tapera the daughter, I'm Tapera the sister, I'm Tapera the friend. So there's a lot I can bring out from myself. It just depends on which environment I'm in, and that's what will manifest. So. And
managing those persons, would you say, influences your view of self as far as respect, or does it stay the same? Yes,
because from all these different, I would say, personalities, or how I view myself and how I interact, from Tapera the politician to Tapera the daughter to Tapera the friend, all comes down to self-respect. Because if I don't respect myself at home, mom won't be very much okay with that. True. Yeah. And if I can't respect myself with my friends won't respect me. If I can't respect myself in politics, my workmates can't even, I won't even be at the table. So I think it all comes down to the same thing.
Fair.
Yeah.
I've been trying to love the stranger from within. So I think a lot of guys suffer in silence and struggle to integrate themselves as persons. They want to be the hot boy outside the house, but then when they come home, they're the houseboy. And there's that struggle, that balance.
Yeah.
And just, as you said, we play different personalities depending on the setting. And even as far as self-respect, I think it's something for me that I've personally struggled with, because growing up black, growing up African, growing up Zambian, you're taught to respect others. I think a big lesson that is, well, just not taught, that's absent in young boys' lives is respect for themselves. You know, respect for who you are, where you come from, the love of your color, your melanin, you know, the strength of your ancestors. You know, we just look at generational trauma. And unfortunately, as gents, we don't respect ourselves until we accumulate certain things, certain assets. Like, how can you respect a man unless he has a car, a house, and money, stuff like that? So, you know, even when I was asking you as far as how do you view yourself, you did show that, yes, you showed that it was intrinsic values as opposed to stuff on the outside. Whereas I feel like if I asked a guy, you know, how do you respect yourself? Like, yeah, okay, I got a degree, I got this in school, I was in this sports team, so on and so forth. So I think that's where I want to head the conversation. How do you think self-respect, particularly in our generation, is viewed?
Well, from what you just said, I'll take you a bit back. You said that growing up, right, they tell you to respect others and everything. I feel like the unsaid truth out of that, or what our parents are going to, is there's a difference between fear and respect, yeah? So if you respect yourself, you can understand to respect others. But because you're raised to respect others and whatnot, I feel most people don't actually respect others, they just fear them. Because truth be told, they'll tell you to respect your teachers and whatnot, but when your teacher is absent, you disrespect them. So you can't disrespect someone you respect generally. You can disrespect someone you fear, because fear only works in their presence. So I think most children and most parents didn't really emphasize that point because, you know, it's the unsaid truth. But if they had like brought it out saying, child, you need to, you need to respect yourself, put value on yourself, put value on your name, we wouldn't be having cases where girls sell themselves for an iPhone 6 Plus.
I didn't go there, you went there. I didn't go there, you went there. I didn't go there, she went there. But speaking of that, I think you're right. There's a gap.
Yeah.
I think in the knowledge, and it's become quite prevalent with ours because we have people our age with people our father's age thinking that's normal. Yeah. And they want to brag about it and boast and disrespect you for like trying to make a living for yourself, or girls who try and be, you know, just act their age, try and be normal. You know, they're trying to jump some steps and meet their mothers in the spas, in the resorts, you know. Yeah. For having themselves ass up, face down, to say the least. But I think also with girls, it's quite different because I think growing up as a guy, an African guy, you always taught to respect women. At least you respect your mom, because I think in the African setting, women is close to God, like your mom. You know, everyone knows mom runs everything, mom and grandma and whatever. And we're like a maternal society, matrilineal society, sorry. And even how you treat your wife, you treat your mom, you treat your grandma, you treat your sister. You know, it's very different from how you treat your uncle, your father, your brother. And that, you're right, that fear and respect thing, because I think from your parents, what you have for your father as a guy is love, fear, respect. For your mom, it's like love, kindness, care, respect. So it's very different approaches. So arguably, you respect your mom more than you respect your dad. Because when your dad's not there, you're like, oh, you know, like you said about the teachers. And I found it, I've struggled with it, like authority. I don't like being told what to do. Because I think growing up, you get told what to do, you don't do it, you get beat. So you build some resentment towards that. And I think I've struggled definitely with going into like later life. I think that's probably why I don't want to be in a 9-to-5 or anything. Having a superior who's just going to be, you know, it's going to take me back to that place where I felt powerless. It's so disempowering. And like, not just disempowering, I think it's just disrespectful to myself. Yeah. I think when you find yourself and you find respect for that person, whoever that stranger is within, you set boundaries. And I think those boundaries, when they get trespassed by a person, you check them. But then you can't exactly check those superior to you when they're crossing your boundaries. And I think that's probably where these girls who don't have boundaries end up finding themselves.
Okay, but would you say that because, I don't know, I obviously don't think like a guy, but would you say that because you were raised to fear, and you felt powerless, and because there was no authority and whatnot. Could you say that's the reason why when gents grow up and come into society that they mistreat other women? Because most gents, yes, they say they respect their moms and everything, but why do we have so many cases where they beat up other girls and they disrespect girls, and it's a lot. Yeah. There's a lot we see on social media. So could that be the reason? Because you were powerless then, and then now because you have all the power and you can feel it, that you even go to the extent of raping them, just to feel powerful.
I think hurt people hurt other people, so it's, unfortunately, when you break a person, you can't leave those wounds to fester. So I think, let me use this analogy. There's a podcast I did called Broken Mirrors, and it's this idea that as being vessels of energy, we reflect and refract different people. So as women, you're healers and builders. Now, you obviously try and fix the breakages or the broken shards you find in someone's masculinity. But unfortunately, you cut yourself on that broken glass. Because if someone's heart's been shattered into 1,000 pieces and you try and touch it, then you're bound to cut yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because there's wounds, there's screams you never heard and stuff like that. And I think it is that element of, I am now in power, so let me abuse it.
Yeah.
Like when you've never had something before, and do it again. Exactly. It's almost like when you go from, it's two extremes, not having anything at all to having everything you wanted, and not having that balance of knowing how to manage whatever it is you have, especially emotions. I think guys, particularly, there's a lack of emotional intelligence in the nurturing process for them. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably why it takes them a lot longer to mature into healthy relationships with females, because a lot of guys are babied, with their moms and stuff.
But you would think that someone who's been babied with their mom would treat a woman with some respect, because you love your mom. So, and she's a woman.
But do they though?
No, that's the.
Or they take it for granted.
Yeah.
Because I think you're right when you're saying that if you love your mom, then you should love the girls around you. Right?
Yeah.
But then the love you get from your mom is not the love you get from different girls. I think what we also have to realize is, as much as like men are there to blame for their actions and have to hold them accountable, what we're taught and what we get, very different things. Like I'll tell you for a fact, like growing up, you believe women are like, you build a shrine for them and worship them. Like they pull Skittles, they fight rainbows and stuff, but then you meet girls like, nah bro, it's very different, especially modern women. Where they're trying to, I don't want to say take our place, because certain people feel a certain type of way about gender roles, but I think in society we're in different positions to play, and when people are playing out of position, it makes it very difficult for the rest of the field. Yeah. So I think gents, first of all, they're finding females who aren't who they're expecting. Secondly, they don't love themselves. It's hard to give someone love if you don't love yourself. And then also, if you don't love yourself and your self-worth is low, then you're likely to treat other people like that.
If you don't respect yourself.
Exactly. If you don't respect yourself, how can you respect others? Yeah. Because you can't give something you don't have. Yeah. It's the same person, like a naked guy giving me a t-shirt. How's that going to work if he doesn't have any clothes on? Yeah. You feel what I'm saying? That goes back to this idea of abundance. And if you had a lack of it from the beginning, and your foundation is shoddy, then ultimately building on top of that, you're just going to be stacking issues. So I think, particularly as men, we need not only spaces but conversations like these. Because I've been talking a lot about Ubuntu. I am because you are, and I think for men in particular, that we internalize the idea from a very young age. Because how do you show love to a woman? Oh, my dad bought my mom a house. My dad bought my mom a car. So even me went to buy him a girl. What? This. But not knowing that there's the other side to things, like the intrinsic value. Yeah. Appreciating her, respecting, as you said, not harming her, hearing her out, understanding her, putting yourself in her emotions, putting your drama aside and giving her space to be free. We don't get taught that. And you have to learn this as you grow. And that's why you find, I think women will go for mature men, but not realize those same mature men are rejected by the age mates.
Yeah.
It's like, how mature is he really? You know, if he's going 6 years down or 10 years down.
Because generally why he's going 6 years down is because you're more affordable.
True. Not just attention-wise, money-wise, effort-wise, time-wise, everything.
The demands you want are different from the demands of his age mates.
Very true.
And you're easier to mold.
Have you found yourself with that? Okay, let me ask you this. Do girls that go for older gents respect themselves? Or do they think that?
I don't know. Because to each their own, right? But I personally don't think so, because why would you go for someone so old that they could be your dad?
Whoa.
It's what are you going to get from there? I mean, I don't even have words for it. What are you going to get from there?
True.
Yeah, because what, apart from sickness, apart from money that can't even buy you substantial things, for how long will you be going after older men until you realize?
Putting the strokes aside, you personally, have you dealt with older gents? Older doesn't mean it has to be like a dinosaur. Older than you. And what's your thinking behind that?
Older than me? Well, generally, women will go for something.
Not women. You. Justify yourself.
Yes, okay, I'm in a relationship.
Yeah.
And I'm not dating someone my age. I'm not dating someone 1 year older than me.
Now, was age a factor?
No, it wasn't a fact. It's not something I was looking for. I wasn't looking to date someone older than me.
Okay, so I think the question I'm trying to ask is for people who that's a contributing factor to.
Yeah, that's a different situation, because if that's a contributing factor, meaning that other contributing factors, like if you're expecting to be older than you, then you expect him to be well to do as well.
True.
Exactly.
So
that's where we're going. Yeah.
So for you, you're not there like, okay.
I wasn't there like checking boxes like, oh, you must be 4 years older than me. Oh, you must be tall, dark, and handsome. No. Yeah. He came and found me, and yeah. But other women, they won't even tolerate you if you're the same age.
True.
Yeah.
What's that about?
It's different. Because what they want, you can't give them. That's what that's about. Exactly, because
now where does respect come into that? Because obviously if they're disrespecting you for not having what they themselves also don't have, then what is that coming from? Like, are they projecting their own insecurities onto you?
I think it's more than that, because that goes I wouldn't want to blame it on childhood trauma, because that's what everyone says, but I feel like those are just personal choices, you know. You wake up, you make a decision that this is what I want, and you go for it. Why don't other women date older men? Older men. Other women, people get married to their age mates. People get married to people younger than them. Exactly. So it's really a big conversation. It really goes far from just self-respect. There are a lot of factors involved. There is who you are generally as a person, what you value as yourself as a person. There's a lot.
All right, okay, so let's break it down a little bit then. As an African woman, what is there about you to respect? Think from scratch. If we're making an argument for why Tapera respects herself, where we stand from?
We're going to start from the fact that I am a woman. Okay. Yeah, women they're meant to be worshipped. We are trophies, and you can't worship something that's finished. So just by me being a woman, I should respect. From time immemorial, women have always been taught to respect themselves. From the 90s, from the 80s, women have been raised to respect themselves. Even in the house, they'll tell you, no, a woman sits like this. A woman can't do this. A woman can't go there. That's just leading to self-respect, reminding you that as a woman, there's certain things you can and cannot do, not because society is unfair or whatnot, but just because you're a woman, and if you respect yourself as a woman, you can't do that. I don't want to say this, but men's level, you know this thing where women, we were talking about this earlier, you know this thing where women want to put themselves at the level of men? then you don't respect yourself because
Very true.
yeah, because what men do and where men are at, a man's level of toxicity, a woman can't match up to that because we weren't raised to be like that. That's not just in our nature, in our being. So you as a woman can't want to be at the same level as a man in terms of toxicity. It just can't work because you actually, at the end of the day, you value yourself. And if you value yourself, you have self-respect. And all these things encompass one thing. So...
Okay, so as an African woman, what boundaries do you have set for yourself? Because obviously you've talked about customs and traditions. Now, I'll be unaware of these things. Like I'll just see, there'll be certain girls you deal with who cross their legs on the side or do this or whatever, won't wear this, won't wear that. Like what actionable steps were you taught as a young girl so far that you can remember?
Well, growing up, that I can remember. Okay, this is a very broad conversation, but like you said, sit like this, wear this. Don't raise your voice when you're talking. Don't raise your voice when you're talking. Don't laugh out loud. You always hear that. There's a lot that they will tell you as a woman to do just so that you can represent yourself correctly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and even if you didn't...
The fly is again. That's a woman. It's not feeling you.
Yeah, even if you weren't taught self-respect directly, but because you were taught how to represent yourself when you're in front of people, when you're in public, you would do just that, and it would come out as, okay, she actually has value.
As gents, I don't think we're taught the same thing. We're taught to be... We're given a bit more... Football. Yeah, we're given a bit more free license to fail and to fall. But then the way you discipline the boys through submission. Yeah. So that's why boys get beat, typically, because they'll test you. Just naturally. I mean, even my little brother will test you. You have to bite the head off a bit, or you have to show a bit of aggression. Whereas the girl, you check her once, she won't do that shit again. Or if she does it again, she'll do it so much better you won't find out about it. Whereas the guy will just do the same thing over and over and over. Yeah. And over. So I mean, certain boundaries. You can't hit a girl. I mean, okay, this is a very interesting conversation I want to have. My younger brother got into a fight in the playground. I'm not going to expose who he was, but forgive him. And then on the playground, there's a girl who came and kicked him in the shin. Now, this wasn't a small girl. It was a feisty big girl. And then he pushed her, but he wanted to hit her back. And I remember, I think he had a conversation with my mom. My mom was raising him up saying, you can't hit a girl. Now he asked her, but mom, if men and women are equal, why can't I hit a girl? You know what I'm saying? Because when he asked me or my dad, if a boy hits you, just playground hitting. If a guy hits you, hit him back. That's what we know. Yeah. So why is it different for a girl? If the girl wants to play rough with the boys, let her play with that's the thing. So how do you think that dynamic plays out from the playground into later life?
Well, like you said, guys are given a free license to fail, right? Which I think girls should also have, because if we weren't given the free license to fail, we would have explored things on our own, and experience would have taught us certain things. And by the time I got older, we would have known, no, I can't do this, I can't do that because of this and this and this. But because it was dictated to me growing up by every other woman around me. So I don't know what it's like to fall. You understand? So I will go up so high that I don't know how. So I will give an example of, we're talking about my brother. I'll give an example of my brother. I think because of, I don't think my mom has ever had the conversation with him where she's like, no, you don't hit a woman and whatnot. But he got suspended at school because a guy went to harass a little girl in his school. They were in grade 8. Okay. So a guy went to he was talking to this girl and she was getting uncomfortable. Yeah. And then this girl goes to tell my brother this is what this guy is doing. And my brother's like, no, you don't treat women like that. So he gets his friends and they go approach this guy because why are you doing that to her? Then the guy goes well, because she let me. And and my little brother and his friends are they almost start a fight, but it didn't break out to a fight. So they suspended the boy. But when he was in the disciplinary committee, because I was there. He asked them, like, why are you suspending me and not him? Because I was defending a girl while he was harassing her. So when we went home, I was like, my brother has never had this conversation before, but he knew that this is wrong, this isn't right, you can't do this to a girl, right? Right. So I think it comes down to that free license. Because he saw how my dad respects my mom, how he makes sure that we respect ourselves. He knew that you can't do this to a woman. You can't, because they have a free license. So I think it's the same thing. He also, like in the situation of your brother, because he has a free license, in the long run, he will learn to understand that even if I want to hit this girl so bad and she keeps provoking me and she is in my face, I can't, because one, physically we're not at the same level. Yes, men and women are equal, but physically we'll never be equal. My only defense is that I'll raise my voice, I will scream, I will slap you and you barely feel anything. But if you slap me, I might even pass out. So, so yeah, it's like that. Yeah, women are not equal physically, and in the long run, he will learn to understand that on his own. That, oh well, yeah, I understood why she did that because that's the only defense mechanism she knows. I will try to hit you, yeah, but it won't have the same impact that you have on me.
And growing up as a girl, do you find that your emotional maturity, where does that come from? Because you know how this thing, I think a lot of girls have been forced to grow up quick.
Yeah.
You know, women are more mature than men, and you find like our grandmothers were like your age, with 3 kids, married to someone who's 35, you know? Because even my grandma was telling, I think she was encouraging my cousins now, she was like, don't marry someone older than you. I think by older she meant like, don't marry like a flipping dinosaur. Yeah. Because a lot of these abuse comes from like the archaic ways, customs, traditions, like, oh, you're submissive to your husband, and obviously certain men who don't understand what submission actually is take advantage of that. But speaking on emotions, you know, how have you found growing up as a girl in a man's world? How has that shaped you and your self-respect?
I think in the emotional aspect, I don't think anyone ever really teaches you that. Yeah, but growing up in a man's world, it's tough. Yeah, you won't get the same treatment. You'll be pushed down a lot because you're a woman and everyone is wondering what you're doing there. But I think women don't really mature early, because you have situations where she's, say, 22, right? And she's dating someone older, but still, when she's with that older person, she's a kid, right? Yeah. So I think I can't really say women mature early, but I'd say they have a wider understanding and they deal with their emotions better.
I think I'd probably say women have to deal with a lot more at a tender age.
They have more responsibilities.
Yeah, and more threats.
Yeah, at a tender age compared to guys. Because guys are still protected. When he's 18, he's there. Yeah, but if a girl is 18, they expect so much from you.
18, even 14.
Yeah, so the society raises you to have that mentality like, oh, I'm big. I'm not supposed to act like this. But when you find, we've been talking about negative men a lot. When you find good men, right?
Hey, shut up. She's not a man hater.
Yeah. When you find good men out there and you've been raised to be mature and to grow up so much, he will bring the child in you and he will embrace it. So
inner child will be safe,
yeah, and you feel safe around him. You feel like you're yourself. You don't feel pressured. There's all of that.
I feel like when someone grows up too quick, it's damaging to them.
Yes, it is.
Especially like a lot of girls, you know, a lot of girls who matured early, I think they've got wounds which haven't healed, you know, whether it's like touched by a relative or, you know, it was just parental absence, like you had to take care of your little brother, so you became a mom young age and stuff like that. Because even, I know a lot of the mature people I know, male and female, are just people who have bags of trauma. And even when people tell me like, "Oh, you're really mature," it's just like I've had to deal with a lot.
Yeah.
Growing up, and you never really get that chance to be a kid.
Child. Yeah.
You never get that chance to be upset because I'm sure you speak on it, but being in like public space, my family's been in public space for all my life. So there's certain things, like you said, free license to fail, that I can't do. Despite having that free license to fail, like I can't get angry or throw a tantrum, or
because everyone's watching.
Exactly, or act out in public, or say the wrong thing, deal with the wrong girl, chill with the wrong crowd. You can't make those mistakes.
Yeah.
So when you have to like walk a straight line on like a narrow, crooked road, it's quite rough, and it takes a bearing down. Because I think even that's probably why I started this podcast. Because going back, I was just thinking over my life. I was like, I'm always having to think how this will affect the family name, or my mom, or my dad, so on and so forth. And like females can relate to that.
Yeah.
How
I represent my parents when I'm outside. How they'll say, this
how
is when Achike's daughter.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So even like dress codes, you can't I can't walk out of home in like shorts or sweatpants. Like I do, but I get some commentary from mom and dad. You get what I'm saying?
Like where you're going, that's like that.
You get what I'm saying? Whereas, certain guys will just live life freely, just go through it. Whereas the females like, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to do it, you have to do that. So I can relate to that at some point, but I obviously not internalize it in as much. Mm-hmm. But I think going forward, how would you say, like, your view of self has been affected by your socialization? So like, I'm trying to bring everything together here: school, church, whatever.
So I think the things I have chosen in my life all come down to my view of self. Say my career, my friends, my spiritual life, all of those things. I don't do sports, so we can never talk about that. But yeah. I think it all comes down to self-respect is like the foundation of everything. Yeah, because if I didn't respect myself, my parents wouldn't let me join politics.
True.
Exactly. If I didn't even respect myself, I think my parents would have been worried about me going to university because life starts in university. Life. Yeah.
Throwing shade.
Yeah, but those parents who don't mind, those parents who are absent, and I think that's where most of our young girls get it wrong, and they miss out and make wrong decisions because they were never there to like fix them. Like when they go off the road, they're like, no, come back. But I think for me, it all comes down to that. If I didn't respect myself, my parents wouldn't give me the freedom I have, because I have a lot of freedom, and they don't even worry about where I am, where I've gone, where I've done what. Because generally, if I didn't respect myself, my parents would have been worried about me getting pregnant by today. My parents would have been worried about me going out with... Politics is an exciting place. Exactly. So they don't even get worried about such things because they know their child. They know Tapera draws the line here.
Okay, so you seem to be drawn towards saying self-respect is boundaries with your dealing to other people.
I think it's boundaries with a lot of things, but if you're able to set boundaries and you have self-respect, because if you don't have such self-respect, you can't set boundaries.
So you can't say no.
Yeah, you can't say no, because you want to please everyone else, and you respect others more than you respect yourself.
True. So
you would want to make them happy at the expense of self. So yeah, you have to learn to draw boundaries. If you just genuinely respect yourself, you will draw boundaries.
Okay, so just so we don't spend the whole afternoon here, do you want to give any advice to those ladies who are struggling with the self-respect, setting boundaries?
I think when you find yourself first, then you can respect yourself. Because if you don't know who you are, you don't know what you want, you don't know what you put as a priority in your life, and you don't even prioritize yourself in your life, I don't think you can respect yourself. So it all comes down to that. So first, discover who you are. If they have listened to your podcast, Identity, right?
Hey, yeah.
Yeah, you have to discover who you are as an individual. And then when you know who you are and you understand who you are and you appreciate who you are, then you can respect yourself.
Preach, girl.
Yeah, amen.
Hallelujah. No, this is fun. It's a great chat. I appreciate that. Self-respect for me, for gents, learning to love the stranger from within. I think I've had this idea. This whole podcast is because I think it's a crisis of masculinity, as you've mentioned before. There's a disconnect between those innocent boys and then these toxic gents who they grow up into. And I think don't kill your inner child. That's one. I think for boys and girls, because unfortunately we all want to grow up a bit quick. Where it's unfortunate because juice turns to gin.
Guys are trying to catch up with the girls.
That's what I'm saying. And because unfortunately, like girls, while they may mature physically faster, I think we all have a base level of understanding together. Now, the issue is just what you want out of life. So she mentioned what you prioritize for yourself and for those around you. If you obviously want a fast life and you grew up fast, then it is what it is. You'd be 16 dating 30-year-olds or 24 dating 50-year-olds. You'll be seeing the sunroofs of different cars your parents never drove. Your friends will be trying to grind and graft and study while you'll be stressing about where you'll be staying next. If that's for you, do you. At the end of the day, I think what people lack is having the perception of themselves first. Because I think a lot of people view themselves through the guise of other people. So it's like, who is kulturedkhun? Kulturedkhun is who other people think he is. Like, no. Kulturedkhun isn't what Tapera thinks. It's not what my mom thinks. It's not what my dad thinks. It's what I think and what I put out. Whether I get lost in translation has nothing to do with me. Like, your thoughts about me are none of my business. They're your thoughts, you feel what I'm saying? My projection of who I am and my articulation of my thoughts, my feelings, my dreams, my desires, my goals is my responsibility. So as gents, I think first find the stranger within. Peer pressure is big for us because I know there's a topic which I didn't get to touch on. But access to you. Sex is not a sport. Say that again, gents. Sex is not a sport. So, in as much as he said females are trophies, just think about it. The reason why Lamborghinis, Ferraris are expensive is because they're exclusive. Not everyone can gain access to them. Yes, everyone may want to look at them, everyone may want to access them, but they don't grant everyone access, you feel what I'm saying? So, it's the same with your body. In fact, your body is even more special. Your body is a temple. And unfortunately, as guys, we only learn this later in life. After you've collected 40, 50, 60 bodies, and then you want a virgin, and then the virgin doesn't want you because, there's a spiritual disconnect. And I think when gents start to respect themselves, love the stranger within, we'll put function back into the family structure. Guys won't sleep around. Girls as well won't sleep around. For one, if they let themselves play, they don't overcomplicate things with guys, they don't try and live too fast, too furious, then it will be easier for them. So I think sex is important because we don't talk about that. We don't tell our parents, There was sometimes you have a conversation with them and they'll say, I hope you're practicing safe. Or you're protecting yourself. They'll say some ambiguous stuff like that. But you know what they mean. But I think protect your energy. But before protecting your energy, find what it is. Not everyone's going to like you. Not everyone has to like you. Even your own family, you have to cut some of them off. Saying no is important. And
abstinence, Liche.
Abstinence, no, it's true. But then unfortunately, like for gents, they only find themselves later in life. And then when they find themselves, that's when abundance of females come. And then because they have no practice of saying no, they end up sleeping with everybody. So I think
the practice of saying no, self-respect.
Yeah. So it is fair enough. Practice saying no. So say no. And other than that, do you have like any shout-outs?
Shout out, well, to my grandma, as always.
Yeah, sweet. Mbewe.
And shout outs to my mom, my dad, my partner.
Ooh, shout out to you, my guy.
What? Yeah, that's it.
All right, bless. We're out.